Well, as lawmakers look to hike taxes, maybe they should look to the heavens instead. To the priest who says this rant against the one percenters is a sin and only ends up harming the poor. And Father Robert Sirico should know he's built a career on helping the poor and even cut his liberal chops, palling around with the likes of Jane Fonda. But that was then, this is now. And in defending the free market, the moral case for a free economy, the good father now defends the very capitalism he railed against as a young priest. He joins me now. Father, good to have you.
Good to be with you, Cavuto. You're a troublemaker.
Well, I'm trying to get you on edge here, so give me time.
And I wasn't a priest in those days, too.
Well, you were a student? Were you a theology student?
No, I was away from my faith. And as a matter of fact, it was reading economics that eventually brought me back to my faith.
Well, I could forgive you for the palling around with Jane Fonda, but a lot of your colleagues are going to say it is unforgivable to appear to endorse the 1%. I know that's not what you're saying, but explain where you're coming from.
Well, I think the bottom line is that you don't make the poor rich by making the rich poor. That an effective and productive economy is built on people having the ability to rise to the level of their capacity and to be able to produce wealth in a way that is moral. One percenters have the majority of their income or their possessions invested in businesses. So if you just obliterated all of that, you would just impoverish everyone and kill the goose that lays the golden egg.
Then, you know, I was thinking of you, and I'm thinking of that line from Jesus, you know, quoted so often in Mark and elsewhere. It's easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle and for a rich man to enter the kingdom of God. So dating back to biblical times, I guess there was a suspicion of rich guys. What do you make of that?
Well, let me ask you how that passage finishes. Everybody quotes that passage, but do you know how it finishes?
And you're all going to hell.
No, quite the opposite. He said, for man it is impossible, with God all things are possible. This is not an endorsement of wealth. I don't canonize the rich and demonize the poor, and I don't think you should do the reverse either. I simply think that you have to look at what wealth production is, that it's a living out of the image of God in which we are all created. And in the book, I try to show that business is a vocation, that people make profits in a free market based on the amount of service that they give to people.
So when you hear, Father, the president and others say the rich should do their fair share, should pay their fair share, what do you think of that?
I think everyone should pay their fair share.
Do you think they're not?
I like what Mother Teresa. No, I think they're taxed over and over and over again so that their productivity is hampered. I like what Mother Teresa says about this notion of class struggle. She said, we don't believe that we can condemn the rich. We believe not in class struggle, but in class encounter, where the rich save the poor and the poor save the rich.
You mentioned something interesting earlier in the book where you said there is something unique, unrepeatable, and transcendent about human beings, and that something demands that their rights to liberty be respected, as well as the freedom, I guess, to make what you will of yourself with the God-given talents you have. But some take advantage of that, don't they? Do you address those who go too far?
Yeah, they do, and there is a moral judgment on people who take advantage of others, who are selfish, who are greedy. But greed is not the monopoly of capitalists. You know, I'm sorry, there's even greed in the church. You know, greed isn't even a thing about material stuff. It's about status and the kind of prestige that people want to engage in.
Isn't that what the occupiers are railing against, Father? That's what the 1% do. Their greed, their material fortunes, their good luck at the expense of, I guess, the protesters' bad luck. What do you make of that?
I think the Wall Street occupiers are on the wrong street. They have a good point about bailouts and things like that, but they need to be in the nation's capital, not on Wall Street, because it's the politicians that enabled these kinds of things to happen by legislation. It's not that the rich are exempt from moral responsibility. That's not the point at all. It's to understand what moral responsibility is and to understand that you can't give to people what you haven't first produced. If you want to give bread to the poor, you have to first be able to build a bakery.
It's very well put. Says we're going to have a baker in the next segment. You know, let me ask you this, Father, I'm glad I have you here as a prominent Catholic priest in your own right. Catholic bishops have been responding very aggressively to the president's stance on contraception. Then, since the president saying he's for gay marriage, and I heard one Catholic bishop say, it's like we're under constant attack and our views are being dismissed, even laughed at. Do you agree with that?
Yes, I do. Just a minor correction. It's not the stance of the president on contraception that the bishops are concerned with, but the edict, the mandate that our institutions are going to have to provide services that we deem immoral. This is not just a Catholic problem. I know many people in different faiths who are concerned by this too. But yes, I do feel increasingly that religious believers, who make truth claims, are being marginalized, not just by the White House, but by the culture as a whole. The things that various entertainers and comedians can get away with saying about Christians and Catholics, were they to say them about Jews or Muslims, would simply not pass muster.
Father, very good seeing you. I tried to get you to go off the wagon and say something in politics. Maybe next time. Defending,
you better go to confession for this.
I know. Not enough. There are not enough confessionals, Father. Defending the free market.
Listen,
the moral
I'll take
case.
a month off and I'll come up there.
The moral case for a free economy. The Reverend Robert Sirico.
Thank you.
Thank you, Reverend, very, very much.